All right, guys, it's the night before opening day of bow season. To many of us, that is basically the night before Christmas. We just can't wait to get up tomorrow and see what we're gonna get. Unfortunately for me, I gotta work tomorrow morning, but I am gonna get out in the evening. But I'm going through all my stuff like a lot of you guys are doing tonight, and I figured it'd be a perfect time to do an overview of the equipment that I'm gonna be using this season, why I'm going to be using it, and so forth and so on. Pretty much everything that you see is going to be mobile. I did not have a lot of time to scout this year. Normally I do a lot of preseason scouting. I do that mostly. I don't use trail cameras or anything like that. So I'm usually just a body on the ground, hitting everything I can and trying to figure out what the deer are doing. I like it doing it the old-fashioned way. We'll probably go over that more on a different video. But with that being said, let's start with the bows I'm going to be shooting this year. And I know what you guys are thinking. A lot of you guys don't shoot multiple bows. You get comfortable with one bow. And I completely get that. I completely understand it. Personally, I like shooting a variety of bows. I enjoy it. That's part of the archery to me, is having a bunch of different bows and using them. I enjoy the way each one of them has its benefits, and well, some of them got their disadvantages too, but I believe a lot of the different bow designs are made for a lot of different reasons. That being said, let's start out with this first bow here. And this is going to be my main bow, the bow that you're going to see me hunt with most of the time. And that's because this is the bow that I've got tuned in really well right now, and also it's going to be easily maneuverable. I can break this three-piece down and take it pretty much anywhere with me, which is why I got it this year. I knew time was going to be an issue for me, so I got a lot of different things this year that's going to allow me to just throw it in my car and hunt when I can. This is Benoit Ocelot, and it's, like I said, a three-piece takedown. This bow's 65 pounds at 28 inches. At my draw, which is over 30 inches, this bow's pulling just over 70 pounds. That's where I like to be. That's where I'm comfortable. And that's usually what I get most of my custom bows made at. Actually, the quiver on here, I'll go over the quivers at the same time I'm going over the bows here. So the quiver on here is a Great Northern Quickie quiver, and this attaches to the limb bolts. You can see this, but this attaches right to the bolts on your three-piece takedown. It's super duper quiet. I will say that I generally do not shoot bows with quivers on them. I like to shoot a bare bow with nothing on it. Like I said, this year I'm going to be doing a lot of things different because time is an issue for me. And I'm going to be packing a lot of things into the field. I'm going to be packing a lot of things back out. A separate quiver is one thing I just don't want to deal with this year. So I went this route. And Bob at the Great Northern Quiver Company there did a fantastic job with this. Obviously, he kind of didn't know the colors of my bow per se, but whether it was purposely or accidentally, he matched the colors, I mean, to a T. The color, the green in that quiver is the exact same green on the glass of my limbs. The tan on that quiver matches a lot of the dark accents in this wood, and it makes for a really, really sweet setup. I'll go over the arrows I'm going to be shooting out of this bow and why I'm going to be shooting them as well. So this is pretty much a full-length shaft here, and it's going to be the Aerodynamics Hammerhead traditional arrows. They're a tapered arrow, so it's extremely small on this end and gradually tapers to the same size as my wooden arrows. I did that on purpose because I can set one knock point on my bow that way, and I can shoot both carbons and wood with absolutely no difference, because the thickness up here, you know, clear down to here on this shaft is the exact same thickness as my wood arrows. That works out pretty slick, so I can bounce back and forth between the two. I also have these shooting, I mean, real close to the same as my wood arrows. So when I group them together, it's hardly noticeable any difference at all. I fletched these with 4 fletches, and they are 4-inch feathers from my turkey I got this spring. I am one of those guys, I love doing it. I also did all the cresting and colors on these arrows. I'm definitely one of those guys that likes building his own stuff. I like tinkering with things. I like being crafty. I think using every bit of the animal you got as well is always a bonus. Let's go over the head on this real quick. That's kind of a monster of a head, and a lot of you traditional guys probably picked that right off the bat. That's just an ace standard. Those things are tried, proven, and proven again and proven again. I went with them last minute this season. I actually normally shoot Centaur Battle Axe or Tree Shark from Simmons. This year I went this route. I really wanted to keep things really traditional looking this year. These were 200 grains. That's 10 grains away from what I'm usually shooting up front. So the difference wasn't major for me, and I was able to tune these right in and be shooting them just great. The dimensions on these, I'm not real sure. They're probably easily 2.5 inches long and maybe by just over an inch. Any of you guys that know the Ace broadheads better than me, you'll know the dimensions of this right away. I'm not really particular about that. If you hit the deer in a vital spot, it's going to kill the deer as long as your broadheads are sharp. Something I want to say about these heads is they're extremely tough. I found that out the hard way. Last minute, I set my target up when I was tuning the broadheads to these arrows. I set my target up, and they ended up flying great right off the bat. But my very first arrow went through the target, and all the floors out here in my barn are cement, and I was shooting from elevated into the barn. I know that sounds sketchy, but I had light in the barn and it was dark outside. So, and I always practice from an elevated spot during bow season. Long story short, I shot through the target and into the cement on the other side. The broadhead came out absolutely fine. The cement floor, on the other hand, got a chip in it. So that tells me that shoulder blades would be no issues if I happen to hit those. A little bit more about this bow. These limbs are tapered, and they're tapered the opposite of what I'm used to, which I'm going to go over on another bow here. These taper on this side of the bow, and they just taper to the belly of the bow. I personally think that makes for a really smooth shooting bow. It obviously takes some mass off the limbs. When a bower does that, it almost always, in my opinion, shows that guy really pays attention to what he's doing, because it's not super easy. I mean, and it's just a little bit more work for him to put in there. And a lot of guys will say it don't make a difference, but I'm one of those guys that say, if you add that to the limbs and you add a lot of smoothness, and it definitely helps with a lot of things. You would just know the difference if you were to shoot a regular bow where the limbs aren't like that, with the just standard flat limbs, as opposed to these limbs. I think I've noticed a difference. This is a fast flight string on here, and these are just regular puff balls on the ends. There's nothing special on those. The limb bolts on this, this is what comes with this bow. I changed them out a while ago to some antler limb bolts, but I ended up liking these better, and they actually work with this quiver setup a lot better. The limb bolts on this are heavy duty, man. When I pulled these out, I was super impressed with this. They come apart in 2 different pieces though, so you guys are gonna have to be careful with that. If you have a real tight fit or a real snug fit, you might twist the head right off of these limb bolts, and the bolt itself will be stuck in there. So just something I ran into and something you might want to pay attention to. And as well as I'm saying that, I'm not complaining one bit. It was totally my fault. I didn't tighten that limb bolt down enough, and I didn't know that they were in two pieces. If I would have did a little bit of research, I would have known that, and that wouldn't have been an issue for me. It's just got a beaver tail grip on it, and it's got some antler overlays to it. I think that this bow is just an absolutely beautiful bow. He made this out of a piece of black locust. I told him to make it out of black locust because I'm a fan, to say the least. I'm gonna set this here. I'm a fan of black locust, even over Osage. Those of you guys that know me personally know that I build self bows. Haven't built one in a while because I haven't had time, but when I build self bows, one of the woods that I really prefer to use is black locust. Anybody that's ever seen a 100-year-old fence post knows what black locust is. It's really dense, tough wood. It acts a lot like Osage, except for I just like the colors a little bit better. And it's available to me all over here in Dowling, Michigan. So just one of my favorite woods. He's got some green accents in there that match the green limbs and things, and he did a great job. If you guys are interested in a custom bow, I would definitely go with a Benoit bow. I've been shooting this all summer long with absolutely zero issues, and it is lightning fast for what it is. I'm not worried about speed, but I do want to throw that in there that this bow's very fast for a long bow. Let's go over some of these other bows here that I'm going to be shooting, and one of them is going to surprise you. Actually, I'll go over that one next. It'll surprise the guys that know me anyways. So I picked this bow up from, it would be my stepbrother. He asked if I knew anybody that might want to buy it and what it was worth and things, and I started doing some looking around, and it's really not worth much. It's actually pretty much the cheapest bow that Bear built. I believe it's late 60s model, but it is the Black Hunter recurve. I'm not a recurve shooter, and that's probably why this is going to surprise a lot of you guys. But I picked this bow up from him reasonably, it was reasonably priced because these bows just they don't go for a lot of money. They were like a common man's bow when they were built. So they, even now they're not, you could probably get one for 150 bucks, no problem. And I just like anybody that's into traditional stuff. You just like Bear, the Bear longbows, the old Bear recurves. There's a nostalgia about them. But I picked this bow up. I put a new string on it, and I started shooting it, and I ended up really liking it. And I'm going to be hunting from a tree saddle this year, pretty much all the time. And the string angle on this little bow out of my tree saddle is just awesome. We're going to talk about that with one of the other bows I got as far as the string angle goes, but this is a super easy bow to shoot out of a tree. It's super easy out of a tree saddle, and I just decided, I haven't shot a deer with a recurve yet, just been a longbow guy, so I'm going to go ahead and do it this year. I don't have the arrows out here with me. No, I don't have the arrows out here with me. Thought I did for a second there, but I'm just shooting carbon express arrows out of this, and they're just cheap arrows, but they fly great out of this. And I'm putting 150 grains on the end of those arrows, and I got those tuned in pretty good. One thing that I will say about shooting one of these is they're not nearly as forgiving, I'm finding out, as a longbow. And I also tend to have a different point on with a recurve. A lot of you guys that shoot back and forth longbows, recurves, you might run into the same thing, or you might have a good answer for me. If you do, leave it in the comments. Why is my point on higher with a recurve? Are they that much faster, or is there other reasons for that? No hand shock in this bow. It's kind of a pretty little bow. It's just I assume it's all maple. A lot of the Bears were, but it's been kind of stained this dark black color. And there's really nothing fancy about this. This is just, like I said, this was a kind of a working man's bow when it was built. And it's still shooting just great, which a lot of those old bear bows do. There's a lot of people still hunting with them. If you guys know anything about these particular black hunters, go ahead and leave that in the comments too, because I'm curious about it. I don't know a lot about recurves. So if you guys want to say something, if you got a hunting story with one of these, because the little bit of research that I did says that a lot of people were hunting with these because they were so available. I believe you could pick these up at Kmart or Sears or something like that. So there was a ton of people in the woods hunting with these right here. And they came out of Grayling. I know that a lot of people that are into the bear want to know where they came from, which factory, and these were made in Grayling as far as I know. But there's not a lot to talk about with this bow. I'm going to be shooting it just because of the string angle mostly, and because I want to shoot a deer with a recurve this year. So we'll put this one up and we'll start talking about the last bow I'm going to be using this year. If it sounds deathly quiet in here, guys, it's because it is. I'm a family guy and I'm not really used to the dead quiet, so I've been kind of enjoying myself out here getting this stuff ready. Now, any of you guys that have watched my videos know this bow already. This is my Great Northern traditional longbow. This is probably my smoothest bow as far as just a bow that is absolutely dead in the hand and dead smooth to draw. This pulls 65 pounds at 28 inches, and it is just over 70 at my long draw, which same as the other bow I was talking about, and that's where I like to be. This is by far the quietest bow I got as well. This bow is just whisper quiet. I don't have much for string silencers on it because I just don't need that much on here. I believe this is I don't think this is a fast flight string that I put on here. I think this is just a regular B50 string. I wore the other one out and put a new one on it. Just a regular leather grip on this, guys, but we're going to talk about that limb taper again. Or bevel, I think you'd call it a bevel over a taper. The opposite of the three-piece takedown I just talked about, these limbs here, instead of going and tapering out from the belly, they taper to the belly. And these are a little more dramatic, I think because the limbs are a little bit thicker, but these the tapers on here, or the bevels on here, look a little bit more dramatic. Once again, like I said, I've shot traditional hill style bows without the bevel, and I've shot this one with the bevel, and I would shoot this one over pretty much any other bow that I've shot. The limbs are super skinny on this too. I don't know if you can if the camera will pick that up, but this is a super streamlined hill style bow here, and it is a deadly beast. Mostly I'm going to be hunting off the ground with this bow this year. The string angle is, which I was talking about earlier, the string angle on this is really messing me up in the saddle. I took it up there one time and realized that out of the saddle it can be done, but you're really limited compared to these other two bows that are shorter with a different string angle. You're limited to what you're going to do in a tree saddle with this. I might do it just cause, but my shots, you know, it'll probably cut my shots in half. And my shot opportunities, that is. The wood in this, the riser's coffee wood, and then once again I got black locust in the limbs on this, for all the same reasons I talked about. I just love that wood, and in the middle of these limbs, as well as the three-piece takedown, is bamboo. I prefer bamboo over pretty much anything, even over the carbon that I've shot. The carbon stuff that they're coming out with nowadays is lightning fast. but I still prefer the bamboo. And the arrows that I'm going to be shooting out of this bow are going to be these wood arrows. There is no taper to these. These are just standard cedar arrows. The cresting on these is amazing. The craftsmanship, all in all the way through on these is amazing. And I got these arrows. I did not build them. I had them made for me by Making Traditional Archery, and he does a fantastic job there. You can tell he really pays attention. He's probably a pretty meticulous guy. The cresting on this is just beautiful. Yeah, I don't know if it'll pick up this far away or not, but you know, maybe I'll do some close-ups a little later on. But the cresting on this arrow is spot on, and being a guy that does a lot of his own arrow builds, I know how hard that is to get that right. They have a really aggressive spin on these left wing fletches. A lot of you guys are gonna say, you know, don't do that, it slows your arrow down at distances, and it's a lot louder. And I agree, it does, and it is louder. But I like the stability of it, and I'm not shooting great distances, and with the poundage I shoot, it gets there plenty fast anyways. So I stick with a real heavy spiral on my left wing feathers, and I pretty much always shoot left wing. On the heads of these, I will be shooting, this is obviously a practice point, but I will be shooting the Centaur battle axes on the front of these, just because these are 190 grain tips I've been practicing with, and that's a 190 grain broadhead that has been proven for me over the years. Last year I was dealing with a back problem that ended up running into my shoulder as well, and I had to drop poundage, and then I had to rebuild my back up basically right before bow season, leading in not the best shooting. I still ended up being deadly and filling the freezer, but just not as accurate as I have been in years past, or as I am in some of the videos I posted on here. But you know, we should talk about that. That's part of hunting, and a lot of it as we get older, a lot of hunting is dealing with what our bodies will allow us to deal with. I wasn't gonna not hunt, and I was obviously good enough to put deer on the ground that year. So that's really, I mean, people like to pick everything apart, but I say if you can hit a paper plate at 20 yards consistently, you can go out and kill a deer. I know that I'm going to get a lot of flack for that, for saying that, but it's a fact. It's just true. We like to be able to drive nails with them. You know, obviously I like to shoot really small stuff, walnuts and all kinds of things. That's what I like to be able to do, and that's what I strive to be all the time. Last year during bow season, it wasn't happening for me, and this year I feel a lot better, but we all go through that. Let's go through some of the equipment that I'm going to be taking in the woods with me, besides my bows and arrows here. So the main piece of equipment that I want to get up here, because it's probably the most important this year, is going to be this tree saddle here, as well as my knee pads. So this saddle is awesome, guys. A Michigan company called Latitude makes these. And they're you know, they're Grand Rapids based. That's about 40 minutes from my house. I can't not support them. And everything I read about these saddles said that they were just fantastic. I never hunted out of a saddle before, but I am familiar with being in a tree in a saddle just from doing tree work. It's a different type of saddle than this, but I was able to just take that knowledge, transfer it over into this saddle, and be comfortable the first time I was up in a tree with it. Actually, it was just the first time I took this up I took my bow up and was just smoking the target with it, so I don't think I'm gonna have any issues deer hunting with it. But I'm gonna go over it real quick. So this is the Method 2, I believe. But it's a 2-piece saddle. As you can see, this rides up higher on your back, and you can adjust that to where it's comfortable. And this rides under your butt here. But there is magnets in this. So when you're wearing this into the woods, everything is in one piece, and you just tighten your ropes up and you wear it in. You don't have to pack this in a bag or anything. You just literally wear this into the woods around your waist. All my ropes are in this little pouch here. I bought this from them as well. But I have, you know, my climbing ropes and things in here. You'll notice on here that I don't have anything mechanical other than the carabiners. I am an old school guy. I just like using the knots, the rope knots. Probably once again, just from doing tree work, that's part of it. You learn a lot of knots, and I trust knots a lot. So that's why you don't see any mechanical stuff on here. Something I want to say about this that is super important to me is it's super quiet. There's no Velcro on this. There's nothing that can jangle around. Everything on here is made to be a silent approach to the tree, which is great. Just picked up these knee pads because I learned from shooting this out of a tree that I was gonna want some, and these are super comfortable too. So if you were gonna go with this saddle, I would definitely go with these knee pads as well. Having good knee pads in a saddle, I'm not a saddle expert, but I found this out right away. Having knee pads in a saddle allows you for a lot of different shot opportunities and a lot of stability, because you can put your knee into that tree and you can really use that to be really stable. So definitely a must on these. My other pouch here is just a pouch from Amazon, actually. It's almost the same style, just a different color. And I'll have a lot of different things in here, probably some filming stuff, because I'm going to be filming most of my hunts this year. Something that I want to go over with this saddle too is the material that it's made out of. You just feel really safe in a tree with it. You don't feel like, I don't want to throw any other names out there actually, but I'll just say that I have checked out other saddles that kind of made me think I wouldn't want to be in a tree with that. Just the material that it was made out of. This is real heavy duty stuff. It's lightweight, but you can just tell when you pick this up that it means business, and I feel a lot safer in a tree with it. Main reason that I went to a saddle this year, guys, is time. I just don't have it. I barely did any scouting. Like I said, time's a huge issue for me. I'm a business owner, and I'm also the only person working right now. My employee is injured, so the time is just not there. So I went with a saddle because I could be mobile and I could basically just go where the deer are. I do a lot out of what you see over here is right here is a climber stand. I do that a lot, but this is, I don't know, maybe 2 pounds at most, not even probably, with everything on it. And this is a beast. So hauling this into the woods around my waist, I would never even notice it. Hauling this into the woods, depending on how far back you're gonna go, is a bear. I love them. I like hunting out of them, but for one thing, it's hard to get them not to clink and clank once in a while going through the woods. You guys know what I'm talking about. You have the backpack straps on, and once in a while you'll move wrong, something will jar, and you'll get that metal on metal clank, most unnatural sound that you could think of in the woods. Obviously I can't get any sound like that with this. There's a lot of reasons that I'm going to the saddle this year, guys. after being in it, I'm a lot more comfortable in it than sitting in one of those as well. This is kind of like a lazy boy to me. I just sit on my platform, which I got here. This is my platform. I just sit with my knees slightly bent and my feet on this platform. And that's the way I like to hunt out of this saddle, or that's the way I like to shoot out of this saddle. This will be the first year hunting out of it. Just really relaxed, and that's another reason I'm going with it, is just I'll be able to sit there comfortably in it. Let's go over this real quick. So, I think that there's a lot of good platforms out there from what I've read, so I don't want to, and since I don't have a ton of hunting experience out of a saddle, I don't want to be the guy that's going to tell you, oh, you absolutely need this, you absolutely need that, because I really don't know myself. I'm figuring this out as I go. I will say it like this: you're going to want a platform that allows you to move around without it slipping on the tree, and you're going to want something really stable. I think I got that with this platform for sure. I tried a couple different methods. I tried just hunting off the top, or I tried shooting off the top of the steps, and I tried shooting off from a different step system or a different platform system that basically goes all the way around the tree, and there's a bunch of different pegs that come out, and I ended up being most comfortable with this. It's a little bit bulky, it's a little bit heavy. I thought it was going to be lighter when I ordered it, so that is kind of an issue to me. But other than that, I would go with a really sturdy platform over anything else. Just shootability out of one of these. So we'll go over more of this as I hunt with it and as I figure things out. I'll tell you a few things. The angle that I like my line to be at coming off my saddle, I like it just above my head. So I like to be tied in just above my head. So my angle is coming down such that when I draw my bow, it just seems more comfortable for me that way. A lot of people say shoulder height. I've heard it fluctuate. I think really it's one of those things that everybody's going to be just a little bit different. I think that you're going to have to get up in a tree and shoot a lot out of it until you find out, okay, this is where I want that. This is where I want to be strapped in at. Let's go over my sticks here real quick. I know this is dragging on, guys, but I definitely want you guys to know everything that I'm going to be doing, because if you see me successful with it, it might help you out in the long run. So I just, like a lot of you guys, most people that I've talked to actually went with these. They're just the Hawk brand climbing sticks. They're pretty darn light. I got 4 of them here, and they're not real heavy. This is how I'm going to be carrying them in. They have these little buttons on them, and they have basically a male end and a female end. They all push together, making for a real silent, nothing shaking, nothing jingling. Makes for a real silent carry in. Not a lot to say about them other than they grab the tree really good. They have really aggressive mounts on them here that grab the tree really good, so there's very little slippage or anything like that. And I really like them. I think that I'm going to like them more as I get used to them. I'm like I said before, I'm used to being in a climber or sometimes in a ladder stand, so getting used to these climbing sticks. If you guys have any other brands you want me to check out too, or maybe you guys have a different idea, leave it in the comments. I would love to know. If you guys are big into saddle hunting, definitely leave some comments, because I'm learning and I would like to learn from you guys as well. But this is the saddle setup that I'm going to be going with. Now, the last thing that I want to talk about as far as equipment is going to be my pack, and why I went with it. I just went with a small pack. I had everything on this, and everything that I'm going to be taking in and out, it works with this pack. You'll see that I got these wire ties on here. That's just a silent way for me to attach things to the pack, especially my platform, without making any noise or anything like that. So that kind of looks ugly, but it's functional. I went with this pack because it was comfortable for one thing, and it was small. A lot of the packs I've seen were bigger than I really wanted to be carrying. I only carry a couple cameras, guys. I'm not one of those folks that takes in 5 or 6 cameras with them. So I don't need all that space for all that. I'll be using the camera that I'm using right now, and then my GoPro. And these are the mounts that I'm going to be using. Super small. This is my GoPro mount. I'll be mounting that basically above me in the tree, facing down at me, or I'll be wearing the GoPro on my head. And this is just a really simple camera arm here, but they're super light and they fit in my pack really good. You can pick these up from Hunting Made Easy. Actually, last time I talked about these, a guy said that he really didn't like these. So I've used other camera arms as well as Muddy, and I like these over those. I'll just mention a couple reasons real quick. One is the system to hook this to the tree is dead quiet. It's just got a bolt that goes into here and screws into the tree, and it seems to hold it plenty heavy for my camera. The other reason that I like this is it's got all these like rubber washers, and it makes so everything is super quiet. You know, this one's been used a lot, and there's still no squeaks or squawks or anything like that. And like I said, they fit in my pack super easy, and I'm not into taking a whole bunch of camera equipment. So that's that with my camera equipment. And that's that with my pack. This is real simple, guys. As you can see, it doesn't have a bunch of pockets and things. It's got 2 places for water bottles if you need them, or I suppose you could fit any other tackle in there. It's got a big pouch, a small pouch, and it's got this pouch here that I found out holds my quiver that's not mounted to my bow really well. So my quiver can fit in here with the arrows sticking up, and everything can still be attached on top of that, which works great. You can pick these up from 3 Rivers Archery. And I'll let you guys know if I regret going with a small pack or not. Oh, you know, I got another piece of equipment that I should probably talk about. String tracker from Omnivores, always in every pack all the time. You never know when it's going to start raining, and I want a for sure way to track the deer. I did a video with these in it earlier this summer. They don't, if you watch that video, you'll see that I'm doing trick shots and all kinds of stuff, and they don't affect arrow flight at all. So having a leg up is a big deal. We like to act like we never make a bad shot, yada yada yada. I've heard all that 1,000 times. The fact is, it's bullshit. Everybody makes a bad shot, and anybody that hunts all the time will once in a while make a bad shot, or have a season where it's just they can't pull it together and they make a lot of bad shots. Having a string tracker helps. You know, any leg up on tracking the animal is good in my book, especially if it doesn't affect arrow flight. The hat is from Omnivores. I wear these all the time, and I didn't get any camouflage this year, guys. Money's tight, and picking up that saddle's not cheap. So I kind of had to weigh my options. What was I going to get this year? And reason behind not spending on camouflage this year or hunting clothes this year is I've had too much success without it. I've shot plenty of deer in normal clothes, and actually, like what I'm wearing right now, you'll actually probably see this in a tree with me. Plaids, flannels, any dark color, anything that breaks up, anything with lines in it that breaks your pattern up, I found works just as good as camouflage. I've never had a camouflage where I was like, well, this is just way better than anything. I mean, I think we get in our heads with that, or we let the folks on TV get in our heads, and we just think that we got to have the mossy oak, or we got to have the real tree, scent lock, whatever. I've killed a lot of deer just wearing a long sleeve shirt and being quiet. So that's what I'm going to do this year. I'm just going to wear what you see. I got a lot of these shirts. They break up my pattern well, and they usually match the leaves in the tree. Actually, I do have one other piece of clothing here, which is what a lot of the traditional guys have, is just an Aspel wool pullover here, and that does a great job breaking up your pattern as well. So when it gets colder, I'll be using that. I gotta make sure I remember to put that in my pack. But that's everything, guys. I don't use trail cameras. I don't use a lot of the fancy stuff. I don't use any of the scent things over you that, you know, suck up the scent or whatever. I don't, the Onyx. I don't use anything like that. And you know, it's not that I haven't used that stuff. I've used trail cameras with success. They work. There's definitely nothing wrong with using them. They will definitely, you know, pattern deer for you. Reasons that I don't do it is because I found myself being a lazy hunter, and that's the last thing I want to do. But that's all personal preference. I have no problem with you or anybody else using those. Like I said before, anything to add a leg up, sure, why not? But that's everything. I'm just waiting for around 3 o'clock to get out of work tomorrow, and we're gonna hopefully start putting some deer on the ground. A little bit about the deer that I'm gonna be hunting this year. The properties that I hunt, they're not, you know, your giant buck areas. I'm not gonna be hunting a giant buck this year. I usually do hold out for an 8-point or better, which around here is pretty good, and most years I get one. Last year I didn't, but typically I'll shoot an 8-point as well as a bunch of does. I think the does eat best, so first thing I'm going to try to do is just get a deer on the ground, and most likely that's just going to be a doe. So I'm not going to go on a big tangent or a bunch of information on that, because like I said before, time was an issue for me. I didn't get a lot of pre-hunting in. I didn't scout a lot of bucks. I didn't do anything like that. So I'll probably hold on to my buck tags and look for, you know, an 8-point or better. But don't be surprised if you see me shoot that 6. I'm not gonna eat tag soup again for 2 years in a row, but I will definitely get some does on the ground. I really want to take a second and thank everybody that subscribes to my channel here. I know that we're not many. I think we're just over 250 right now, so we're few, but you guys are always commenting. You guys like my stuff, and I appreciate it, because it's not easy for me to make time to do these videos, and I hope to do a lot more of them. With that being said, before things start to get hectic and crazy in the comments section, which I read on every other hunter's that's on YouTube, you know, you scroll through the comments, and things get so out of hand so fast. So on this channel, guys, let's try to keep it clean. Let's try to keep things positive. I don't want anybody bashing anybody else for, you know, oh, well, I never would have did that, or, you know, whatever. Keep it to yourself. I really want to keep this page a positive page, and I really want people to get into hunting. I want people to get into eating meat that they provide for their family. I am not a QDM guy by any means, and I won't ever support that. I've been to too many of those meetings with people that with the attitude that completely miss the point of what hunting's supposed to be, and they completely ruin it for people that are skeptical about hunting. Those elitist attitudes, they don't have any room on my channel. That being said, guys, anybody who's going to be going out tomorrow, maybe your season already started. A lot of them started last month. But tomorrow, October 1st, a lot of the country loves that date. So anybody that's going to be out tomorrow, good luck. Shoot straight. Watch your wind. Watch your thermals. Get a hold of me if you shoot something. I really want to see your guys' success. I hope you enjoyed this overview. This is going to be my base camp, and this is going to be where we're talking about a lot of the hunting. I hope to do a lot more videos more in depth on the way I hunt and why I hunt that way. When I do actually have time to pick out bucks, I want to talk about what I do to be successful with that. But that's all going to be later on this season. Guys, take it easy. Have a good one. Thanks for watching this. Like, subscribe, share this with your friends. Like I said, do not be afraid to get a hold of me on Instagram, Facebook. Leave a comment. Tell me about your success, guys. I don't care if you're a gun hunter. I don't care if you're a compound hunter, traditional hunter. Let's make this channel really about just being positive. I want people sharing their success on here. So with that being said, have a great opening day.